MBB Coaches Teleconference. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. If you would like to ask a question during this conference, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. To withdraw your question, press the pound key. I will now turn the call over to Mike Kern. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Stephanie. And we do have Greg Lansing of Indiana State with us. Indiana State opening up the week at home against Southern Illinois on Wednesday. Later in the week, the Sycamores will travel to Springfield to play Missouri State. Both games will be on ESPN3. And at this time, we'd like to welcome Greg to the phone. Good morning, Coach.
Morning, Mike. How are you?
Good, good. 3 weeks left in the regular season, and everybody's playing everybody for the second time now. Southern Illinois coming to your place. Talk about the last game and the changes that you'll make for this game coming up Wednesday.
Well, we do have to make some changes. We haven't been playing particularly well at either end of the floor, on a consistent basis. So it's been a little frustrating. But obviously, Southern had been rolling previously, and they're doing like a lot of us do. Is you go on the road and it's tough to win, and if you don't play your best, you're probably going to get beat. It doesn't matter who you're playing. But we had a good game with them there. That they pretty much handled us, and so we know that what the task at hand is, and they're going to come in here hungry. I saw Barry's quotes after the last one. They said they got to go get one, and we got to do our part. We got to hold. We've played pretty well at home and held service here, and we need to do that on Wednesday.
Thank you, Greg. Let's get to the questions now for you. Questions from the media for Coach Greg Lansing.
Press star, then the number 1. Again, star, then the number 1. Again, that's star, then the number 1.
Greg, we are starting off with a bang. We're going to let you go. No questions to queue for you. So thanks for joining us.
Very deserved. Thank you.
Everybody has a Super Bowl hangover. All right. Thanks, Greg. We'll hold for just a moment. Our next coach to join us will be Ben Jacobson of Northern Iowa. Panthers are on a 4-game win streak, playing Missouri State to open the week on Wednesday at home, and then off to Wichita State on Saturday. That game on Saturday will be on ESPN2. Panthers coming off a week in which they won a pair of games, including a come-from-behind victory in the final minute against Evansville. The Panthers outscored the Aces 4-0 in the final 30 seconds to win by 3. And the game on Saturday at Drake, the Panthers shot a season-best 62% from the floor, winning by 16 points in Des Moines. And we are joined on the phone now by Coach Ben Jacobson of Northern Iowa. As I mentioned, Panthers are on a current 4-game win streak and will open up the week with a home game against Missouri State Wednesday night. At this time, I'd like to welcome Jake to the phone. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning, Mike.
4-game win streak certainly coming in at the right times with 2-6 start, back to 6-6 within striking distance of second place now in the league. But work to do against Missouri State on Wednesday. They're playing well, getting a lot of contributions from the younger kids. And talk about the Bears coming to town Wednesday.
Yeah, obviously in the first one they got us at their place. I thought they played great. In the second half of that game and down the stretch, and I just think Paul's done a terrific job with the injuries they've had, with playing the younger guys. Having to play some of those freshmen because of the injuries. The way those guys have responded, how they've played both at home and on the road, and how they've played against really against everybody in the league. I think Paul's done a terrific job given the circumstance, and their guys. It doesn't appear that they're just trying to get through this. It appears that they are, and they have been extremely determined and extremely competitive, and that's a real credit to Paul and a real credit to his guys.
Thanks, Jake. Let's get out to the questions for you. Questions for Coach Ben Jacobson from the media.
Press star and the number 1 to ask your question. Our first question comes from Paul Solentrop with the Wichita Eagle.
Hello, Ben. Could you talk about some of the changes you've made, looks like, to kind of invigorate your offense over this winning streak?
Yeah, we've gone away from so many possessions with that high ball screen with Wes. Paul is really, it's surrounded a lot of that, and I would tell you, we got really one-dimensional, where, Wes is standing at the top of the floor and the entire defense is looking at him, and the entire defense is ready to make their rotations, and they would have practiced it for, whatever it is, the amount of days of prep time. For 2 days in practice, they're sitting there, figuring out how they want to guard that. And as I've talked about some with him, Paul, it isn't that he still can't make a play. He still can't maybe get free or find a teammate because he's forced some help, but it puts so much pressure on him. It wasn't best for us as I was watching our team play. So we've gone to some more just real simple passing game. Everybody touching the basketball, more movement, more screening away from the ball. And then some continuous stuff, with the ball screen again, where more guys are touching it, and we move Wes around, and so that's been the biggest change with the offense.
And then it looks like I've noticed some more scoring games for Bennett Cook and Quentin Carlson. Has that been a byproduct of that? They're getting some more good opportunities. Theirs has been. More than anything with those two, Paul, it's been they've had opportunities to play some more minutes now and be in game action more, and so their confidence has increased. They're both obviously being sophomores and their first time in the rotation. You can just see them both. Their confidence is better, so they're playing harder. They're more aggressive. They're more physical. They feel better about what they're doing. So most of their improved play is because of that. Now the guys that are benefiting a little more than those two would, Paul, from the changes we've made with the offensive stuff. Bohannon's getting a chance to move around some more, and getting a chance to touch the basketball a little bit more instead of just standing in the corner while Wes is using a ball screen. And same with Jasperson, same with Morgan. So the combination of those things has been good for our offense. How tough was it to get these guys talked and, boosted through the rough spot? I guess keep telling them, things are going to get better. We can work our way out of this. Is that how you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges with it, Paul, is we got, we're playing 8 guys right now, and 5 of those guys were on a team a year ago that was highly successful, right? So they were, there's some frustration that comes in when you aren't playing as well as you know you can, and when you're coming off the kind of success we had a year ago. So that was my biggest concern, was helping them understand that if we do the right things at practice, we've already shown we're a good team. We beat Carolina, we beat Iowa State. We've shown we're plenty capable. now we're going to have to earn our way out of this. We're going to have to grind, and we're going to have to fight, and we're going to have to figure out in practice how we prepare better. And then the other thing, Paul, come game time, we talked about, hey, we're going to have to make some plays. I'm going to have to coach a little better, and guys, you're going to have to make a couple plays now and then. And so those were some of the things that we talked about the most.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Paul.
Jake, that was your only line of questioning. Thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Bye-bye. Next on the line with us is Drake coach Ray Giacoletti. The Bulldogs opening up the week tomorrow night, playing Wichita State at home. Game will be shown on ESPN3, and at this time we'd like to welcome the coach to the phone. Morning, Ray.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Good. Let's talk about Wichita State, preview tomorrow night's game for us, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
Obviously, very rarely do you get a chance to get a top 25 team on your home court, and so the opportunity for that is exciting. We've talked with our team here the last couple of days. Just we've got to be able to match their toughness and be able to match how hard they play, because those are the intangibles that I think that make them so good. I mean, they've got guys who can knock shots down and rebound the basketball, but the intangibles of just toughness and boxing out and rebounding and those, I think that's the thing that separates Wichita State, and we need to be able to bring those intangibles up to their level to be able to compete with them tomorrow.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Ray Giacoletti.
Please press star and the number 1. Our first question is from Paul Sulentrop with the Wichita Eagle.
Hello, Ray. It looks like Dominic has been getting more minutes and more productive and moved into the starting lineup. How's his freshman season progressing here recently?
I think he's had the last month of the season here, or last 3 weeks anyway, has been his best basketball, and there's a lot expected of him early on, and we probably put way too much pressure on him or the opportunity. He needed to kind of get figured out what college basketball is all about and what he needed to be able to do to help the team and help himself be successful. And he's starting to kind of, I think, figure some of those things out. He had 14 points against Missouri State. He had 13 the other night against Northern Iowa, and he's been rebounding the ball at a decent clip. Would like to be able to get him, extend his minutes a little bit, but he's got to be able to push through some fatigue and some of the mental things. But he's played his best basketball here the last 3 weeks.
Anything in particular he's really figured out that's helped him get on the court and be productive?
I think, again, I think the foreign guys are, it just takes a little bit of time, and for any big guy, it takes him some time. I mean, he hasn't had the luxury to have a red shirt or anything like that, and so he's kind of had to figure out on the fly. He is, I think he's just understanding, what he needs, how hard he needs to be able to play, and what he needs to be able to do. And he's shooting the ball at an unbelievable clip. We need to be better at getting more shots. The other night against Northern Iowa, again, he's 5 for 5. And, we can't get him any more looks than that. And so that's on us trying to help him, put him in a better position where he can, be able to be successful and score the ball. On conference season, he's shooting like 75%. We have to find ways to continue to get him touches.
Seems like young big men, it's almost a universal thing. They have to go through a period where they're in foul trouble a lot. Why is that? Why is that just something that seems to plague a whole lot of big guys?
I just think, big guys, it takes a year to for them to figure things out. Somebody Dominic's size, he is a little bit over aggressive, he's going to get called for the foul. If you're smaller than him, you probably can get away with some things. So you really need to understand how to position your body and, play with your hands above your shoulders and not extending those forearms with seals offensively. It just takes a little bit of time, and they probably don't get away with as much just because how big they are. And people can push and shove and put a knee in their back and root them out of the post, but they certainly can't do that. So I think his progression's been pretty good, to be honest with you. If he could finish strong here the last 6 games, I think he has a bright future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ray, that was your last question. I appreciate your time this morning, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
All right. Paul Lusk of Missouri State is on the line with us. The Bears playing at Northern Iowa to open the week. That game is on Wednesday on ESPN3. Later in the week on Saturday, the Bears return home. We'll play Indiana State in Springfield, also on ESPN3. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Paul Lusk to the phone. Morning, Paul.
Hi, Mike. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's talk about Northern Iowa. It's been a while since you played him, over a month, and you got the better of him down in Springfield. Talk about the game on Wednesday, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
Well, we have a great deal of respect for them, great deal of respect for Jake. They were very good early in the year with some outstanding wins. They hit a little bump in the road, which a lot of us do. You're not used to seeing that with Jake's teams because they've been so darn consistent, but they've got it figured out now, and they're playing very good basketball.
Thank you, Paul. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Paul Lusk.
Press star then the number 1. Again, star then the number 1. Your first question is from Harry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Hey, good morning, Paul. After all that you guys went through last year with Marcus leaving, and then you start this year and Austin doesn't play and Dorian misses a bunch of time, just how much of a psychologist have you had to be? And, obviously you lost the first 4, but have righted the ship a bit. Just talk about the psychology of helping your guys maybe learn to win, learn to believe.
Well, I think you're always going through some of that. We had a kid last year as well, Ron Mavica, he's really doing a nice job at St. John's that we thought would be a good player for us, and he couldn't play the whole year because of back surgery. But and then going into this year, our schedule was set, and we had a very difficult schedule. And we probably, and I spoke about it with everything that happened in the off season, we weren't ready for that schedule. But nonetheless, I think it's made us all stronger, and it's made us better. We've had a solid Valley season. We were not very good the other day over at Evansville. Once again, we were coming off 2 wins, and then we lost Dorian for an extended time with his situation with his knee. But it's just part of it. You have to deal with it and not make any excuses. And I think this team's done a pretty good job of that. I did talk about a week ago about a lot of our first year guys just kind of that wall is on top of them, and we have to bust through that. And guys have to get rest. They have to get rehab. They have to get treatment. They have to do all those things. Then they have to come out and practice hard and fight through those things. So it's been a good group to coach, and I think we will.
And the subtleties of winning, is that something the young players have to learn as well?
Oh, I think so. I think you have to learn all of those things. And like I said, we had 2 experiences a week ago, one with Illinois State to where we were down. It looked like we were dead in the water, but we hung with it, kept fighting, got some breaks, and we were able to fortunately pull one out. And then we turned around against the Bradley team, who we had really played very good basketball against at their place about a month ago. They came into our place, and we were outstanding for the first 10 minutes. We had them down 20-2, and we hadn't had a team down 20-2 before. and then our guys just let up, and I really believe some of our first-year guys thought that they can't come back and win. And give Bradley credit, they almost did. So I think it's all of those things that you have to learn, and it's first time through for some of these guys, and it's a process, but been pleased with them. We've got some games left that we're going to have to play really good basketball, and especially with another guy going down. Dorian's been our glue. He's our glue. He's our leading assist guy. He's our best defender. But we were able to win games without Dorian early in the Valley season. Well, we're in that situation once again, and I think the thing that our guys are learning, especially the new guys, it's a lot more difficult second time through on league play, and everybody knows who you are. Everyone knows your tendencies. So, you have to be at a high level in your preparation. You have to be at a high level on game day.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
You bet.
Our next question is from Jim Sullivan with the Waterloo Courier.
Coach, how much did that victory over UNI being a last-second dramatic sort of victory at home, how much did that help your team in terms of confidence?
Oh, I mean, anytime you win and you beat a good team like Northern Iowa, I think it helps you. I can't even remember. I think we had lost our first two of Valley play at Illinois State and then against Evansville at home, and had a couple guys down, but it was a good win against Northern Iowa. We found a way. Some of our young guys, I think Ryan Krecklow, a freshman we had, we were down 8 or 10, and he hit back-to-back threes that gave us life, and we were able to win the game. I think next game we might have gone to Loyola, and it did give us some confidence. Well, Chris Kendricks went down for the Loyola game he could play, so. It probably gave us a little bit of confidence, but I think that's over a month and a half ago, and probably and confidence is an important thing because maybe Northern Iowa went through that tough stretch where they weren't playing with as much confidence, and that even can happen to a veteran team. But now, they're really clicking and they're playing very good basketball.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much.
You bet.
Your next question comes from Paul Sullentrop with the Wichita Eagle.
Morning, Paul. You played Northern Iowa early in the season when they were having some real offensive issues, and Ben just talked about how they've gone away from a lot of the ball screen stuff that they run for West Washington. So now that you're preparing for them again, what difference have you noticed, and how has that helped their offense here recently?
Early in the year when we played them, Paul, I think they were just coming off of a loss at Southern Illinois. So I don't know that, and I think they hit 13 or 14 threes at Southern, so they were really good offensively, I thought, at Southern. There's no doubt that a lot of what they were doing early, everything kind of goes through Washburn on the high ball screen. I've noticed watching them lately, they're probably running some more freelance motion. They're still very, very lethal from three. And then I think the other thing is that the big kid inside has provided some low-post scoring production for them, and I think that's helped them. So they're probably, as I said, that they'll still ball screen you. They'll still space you out with those great shooters. They're running some more freelance motion. They've got good players, and I think the big kid inside, I think he had a career high maybe about a week ago against Southern. So they're doing some things differently, but they're also still going back to some of their bread and butter with the ball screen stuff. And when those guys are making shots, and West Washburn is playing good basketball, they're very difficult to deal with.
Thank you.
You bet.
Paul, that was your final question. Thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, we'll see you later. Barry Hinson of Southern Illinois joined us. The Salukis opening up the week at Indiana State on Wednesday, back at home against Drake on Saturday. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Barry Hinson to the line. Good morning, Coach.
Morning, Michael.
A couple of teams you've already played this year and beaten. A second go-around, always a challenge for everybody in the league with teams knowing each other's tendencies. But if you could talk about Indiana State on Wednesday, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
Well, I think you got two teams that are have lost some tough games here recently, so I expect it to be nothing but a tough game. I think anytime you play Greg's teams, you got to be ready to go. Scott and Brown are, they're Batman and Robin in the league, kind of like Van Fleet and Baker, and they've really done a good job. I mean, these kids together are 31.5 points, and of course, when I watch them play one night and they get 50 or 48 between the two of them, that's pretty special. So it's hard to find two guards in our league that can go off and get that many points at one particular time. And Greg's done a good job because he's got, Christian Smith, which has been one of my favorite players in the league for a long time. I'm a big fan of Christian. And then, Van Schlock, or however you pronounce the name, gives them where you can't just not pay attention to those guards and not him. So they've got a good balance.
Thank you, Barry. Let's get now to the questions for Coach Hinson. Questions from the media.
Press star then the number 1, please. Star then the number 1. Our first question is from Harry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Hey, good morning, Barry. I just, looking at some things, I just the last 3 games you guys have been under 60. What is the issue with the offense? Is just missing shots, or can you pinpoint more than that?
No, Harry, I think you just nailed it. I mean, our 4 top guards in the last game were 9 for 33. After going back and looking at the film, we got great looks. We just didn't make them. We just can't we can't shoot the ball like we've been shooting and expect to win ball games. We're shooting 22% our last 4 games from the 3 with our guys that shoot threes, and that's just it's very uncharacteristic of us. Whether it's a mental fatigue, a physical fatigue, or a confidence issue, that's the thing that we have to find out.
And then when you, your job, obviously, right, to build up that confidence or play psychologist, how do you go about that?
Well, coaching's different. I mean, it's different with every team, every year. It's just, but you have to pay psychologist, psychiatrist, medical doctor, strength and conditioning coordinator, figure out how you're going to do your practice schedule, how you're going to talk to the guys. We really went after our guys at halftime of the Loyola game, and kind of backfired. We just didn't have any energy, didn't have any juice. And I think right now our biggest deal is that it's so much easier to win ball games when you're an underdog. But all of a sudden when you become being chased, adds a lot of pressure.
Thanks a lot, Barry. Good luck.
Thanks, Harry.
Barry, that was your final question. Appreciate your time this morning with us.
Hey, Michael. Have a great day.
Thanks, Coach. We'll hold for just a moment. Coach Marty Simmons of Evansville will join us in just a minute. Of course, DJ Ballantyne became the all-time leading scorer in Evansville history, scoring a 3-pointer late in the game against Missouri State to do it exactly on the dot. Evansville opening up this week with a Thursday game on at home against Illinois State on CBS Sports Network, and they'll play on Sunday at Loyola on ESPNU. Still working to get Marty on the line with us, so thanks for your patience. We'll have him on just momentarily. Three games on the first part of the week will feature teams with identical records as Evansville, Illinois State. Both at 8-4 will play Thursday. Southern Indiana State, both at 7-5, will play Wednesday. And Northern Iowa, Missouri State, both at 6-6, will play Wednesday as well. We're striking out with Marty. We'll keep trying to get him on both his office and cell phone, but we'll try to move ahead to get Porter Moser on the line with us. So Loyola head coach will be next in the order. We'll get him on as soon as we can, and we'll take the first one available. And we will keep trying to get Coach Marty Simmons of Evansville with us, but we don't have him yet. And we do have our next coach, that is Porter Moser of Loyola. He'll join us a couple seconds early. This time we'd like to welcome Porter to the phone. Good morning, Coach.
Morning, Mike.
Nice win at Southern Illinois. You're back on the road Wednesday to play Bradley. Bradley also coming off of a big win against Indiana State. Preview the game for us on Wednesday. They got you late at your place, last second shot. But talk about the game Wednesday, and then we'll open it up for some questions.
Well, Brian's done a great job, developing these kids and bringing them along. I mean, their confidence level is really high right now. They play really hard. They're guarding, and you just got to give their staff and Brian a lot of credit. With so many young guys, they're not playing young anymore. I don't think. I mean, they look really confident against Indiana State, and obviously we got our hands full losing to them here the first time, and so hopefully we can build on our last game's effort.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Porter Moser.
Press star, then the number one. Our first question is from Dave Reynolds with the Peoria Journal-Star.
Porter, was the Bradley loss in some ways kind of a turning point for your team?
Well, it was our third game in a row we lost, and it really kind of by a total of 5 points total in it, and we're still trying to recover for that. Obviously, in the standings, losing those 3 by 5 points, and but I did shake the lineup up. I did have some sit downs with some of our veterans about leadership, and we have played better since then, and so. I feel that some of our seniors have taken more ownership since then. I think there's those 3 losses that we had. I've said it, I think, every week on this call that leadership can't be a sometime thing. Even when you're not shooting well, you're not doing some other things well, the leader's got to lead. And we have found that now. We're finding our niche with that. We're playing better. And hopefully we can continue on throughout this month.
Well, in what phases of the game are you playing better?
I think when adversity hits. I think if something during the course of the game, if we go on a scoring drought or if something happens, we're not letting it affect our defense. I think our offense was affecting every phase of the game. It was affecting our defense. It was affecting our leadership because we weren't shooting the ball. We still haven't shot. We did shoot the ball better in the last couple games, but it was affecting every phase of the game. And you can't let your offense dictate your defense and your leadership. And I think we're getting better at that.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Harry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Hey, Porter, just looking at Milton's numbers, it looks like he's shooting it better. Is he finding himself? It seemed like he was kind of, listless wouldn't be the right word, but he was trying to find where he was, and it seems like maybe just looking at numbers, he's finding his groove again. Is that a good assessment?
Yeah, he sure is. I mean, he's, he hasn't put up big numbers, but I can tell how he's playing. He's more focused defensively. He really was good, with the ball, distributing it last game. And, I think he was down because he wasn't playing well. And the kid really wants to win. He just was, struggling with it. And I think now he's realizing that he doesn't have to put up a lot of points. He's doing some other things. And I thought he was really, really solid in Carbondale on a defensively as well. And I've told him this, his whole career. It's just a matter of is that his length. He could be a terrific defensive player. It just there hasn't been consistency with his defense. But if he defends like he did last game, I mean, he's going to be better for us.
Yeah, and really, other than the Wichita game, and about the last 7 or 8, his shooting percentages are off the charts. Is that just finding the right place, or is it just better play? What's the factor there?
I think he's not pressing as much. I think he was pressing so hard with so many, with the shot, with everything, and he's coming off the bench. He's letting things come to him a little bit more. He's not forcing it, and I think that's good for any player when they don't force it and let it come to him. And we need him. I mean, we need him to play better for us to play better, and he's doing that now. And that's just a big key for us if it just his leadership too. Our guys feed off him, and I think he was letting his offense and different things frustrate him, and then their frustration was going on down the line to all the guys. So his body language and his mentality has been much better too the last few games.
Thanks a lot, Porter. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Porter, that was your last question. We're going to let you go. Thanks for joining us today.
All right, thank you. See you.
All right, bye-bye. And we do have Marty Simmons of Evansville opening up the week against Illinois State at home on Thursday. The game will be shown on CBS Sports Network, and then on Sunday they'll play the Ramblers in Chicago on ESPNU. Good morning, Marty.
Good morning, Mike. My apologies.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for joining us. DJ Ballantyne, of course, becoming the all-time leading scorer in Evansville history. He's 6th all-time in league history and should climb 2 more spots before the tournament, and certainly his accomplishments should be noted from what he did on Saturday and all his career.
Yeah, I mean, that's for every program. Every program has a lot of great players that go through over the course of many, many years, and Evansville's no different in that we've had a lot of really great players, and to be number one in that particular category is pretty incredible. And it was a special day, and one that I'm sure he'll remember for the rest of his life.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions for Coach Marty Simmons.
Press star number 1. Our first question comes from Jim Benson with the Bloomington Pantograph.
Marty, obviously, Wichita State looks like they're not going to be caught for the title. Well, what would second mean to your program to finish second in the league?
I'm not sure, Jim. I really haven't thought a whole lot about it. We try to stay in the short term, and the old cliche, just try to take one opponent at a time, because if you look too far ahead, it'll jump up and bite you. But we'll just have to wait and see. I guess I don't have a great comment or answer for you on that. I think our attention is certainly on your team up there and how well they're playing, and it's going to be a big challenge on Thursday night.
And like say Illinois State, you handled them at third place. What do you see as the big difference from them from the game you played at Normal and then the game they played against Wichita State the other night?
Well, I think Dan has them. I mean, they're playing with a lot of confidence, and I mean they're really talented. They play hard. They're aggressive. I mean they're in the attack mode 100% of the time, and they're hard to play against. And I really don't. Other than that, I mean they play hard all the time. And, they just seem to be playing, with a lot of confidence. They got a lot of weapons. And they can beat you in a lot of different ways. I mean, they're great defensively, on the glass, transition. They've got a lot of guys that are very, very good scorers, passers. They can post a lot of different guys. I mean, they're just probably as versatile basketball team as you're going to play against.
And a lot, obviously, is talked about your two big guns, but Jaylen Brown is seemed to, like he's putting together a great year. What is the big difference in his game from this year, from last year?
Well, he shot it very well for us. But again, I think that C word, I mean, he's playing with a lot of confidence. With the injury to Boo Gibson, he was certainly asked to step up into a full-time role. And he's done a terrific job. He was a big reason, for our success on Saturday. I mean, he really stepped up and made some big shots and did a great job defensively. But I think more than anything, he feels real good. And, he'd been in the league for a couple of years. Now this is his third year. He just has a better feel for maybe what to expect and is playing very well for us.
Thanks, Marty. See you Thursday.
See you.
Marty, that was your only line of questioning today. We'll let you go, and thanks for joining us today. We'll see you on
Thursday. Thanks again, Mike.
All right. Thanks, Marty. Coach Brian Wardle of Bradley is with us. Braves coming off of a win against Indiana State on Saturday. They open up the week at home, playing Loyola on Wednesday, back on the road on Sunday to play Illinois State in Normal. At this time, we'd like to welcome Coach Brian Wardle. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good, good. Let's talk about Loyola. You got them up there at their place in a last-second shot, and second go-around always tougher for everybody in the league. But to talk about the Ramblers coming to town, and we'll open up for some questions.
Well, obviously, they have a little bit different starting lineup right now than they did when we played that. But their key guys are still coming off that bench and playing a lot of minutes. I thought our game there, we competed. We rebounded the ball well. We kind of muddied it up and won those 50-50 balls and did all those things that you got to do for us this season to win. And we were able to do that in the first meeting, but obviously that is in the past, and that doesn't mean much right now, and neither does our win this past Saturday. And we got to get better today and keep improving and keep our level of effort and care level has been very high every day for our record, and we just got to continue to work to get better individually and as a group, and we're going to get after that today, obviously for a game Wednesday night.
Brian, thank you very much. Let's get now to questions for you, questions from the media.
Our first question comes from Jim Benson with the Bloomington Pantagraph.
Brian, having Kadero Bell back, what does that mean for your team?
Well, I think, he's our lone senior. He's one of our seniors that's played some minutes this year, and he brings a calming voice on that floor for our young guys. But also, it's 5 to 10 minutes that he provides us that takes away from our freshman guards, and so that they're not playing 38, 39, 40 minutes a game. I think that's critical. I think it helped us win the game the other night just because maybe our legs are just a little bit fresher to make those free throws down the stretch to seal the game. Little things like that I think go a long way. And KD's defensive has always been a really solid defender in the Valley. I think he's always been a guy that can guard the dribble, a good off-the-ball defender, smart defender, and just having him and being able to put him in the game in late-game situations on the defensive side of the floor helps us, I think, this month for sure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Paul Sullentrop with the Wichita Eagle.
Hey, Brian, going through foul trouble just seems to be kind of a universal thing that all young big men have to, kind of get through. Why is that just in general an issue for those kind of players?
Well, I think, at least with my freshmen, it's been an issue all year. They are trying. They're trying to give great effort. I'm demanding it from them every day. And I think when young kids are trying and they're trying to give effort, they're trying to play really hard, they use their hands a little bit too much, or they bump a little bit too much here. And as much as you try to correct it by watching film and then calling it in practice, just the anxiety and the adrenaline that you get during the game situation, I think, as a young player, can sometimes get the best of you, and it definitely has us this year. But all you can do is just keep showing them when they play smarter, when they make the right decisions, when they're just vertical and moving their feet, showing their hands, I think is critical. And we in our case, like Callum Barker, I mean, he's struggled with it all year. He's a physical young man. He likes contact. He likes hitting. And we're still just trying to work with him on moving his feet, not bumping cutters sometimes, and avoiding some early fouls. But I know it's been a problem for all the young players this year.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Harry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Hey, Brian, you guys, your offense has picked up the last 3 games. Any common denominator there, just making shots, or have you guys done something a little bit different?
To be quite honest, we've been focused on offense quite a bit, a lot more than I ever have as a head coach, just because we were turning the ball over so much in the first part of the season, and I thought we were really defending well for a young group and rebounding the ball well. So we focused a lot more on offense, but I think it's just they're more comfortable on the floor. It's slowing down for them a little bit. I think Luke Van Bray said it best after our last game, and we've been talking about that in the last couple of weeks with our freshmen that are playing a lot. Just they're seeing things a little bit better now. Things are slowing down for them, and that's experience. And I think they're starting to get more and more comfortable out there offensively, going against pressure, going against more length and more physical, stronger upperclassmen. And so hopefully we just got to keep doing the things we've been doing and keep tweaking some things to try to help us get the ball in the basket, because we're going to need that, obviously, the rest of this month.
Thanks a lot, Brian.
Thank you.
Coach, that's it for you today. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate your time this morning.
No,
Thanks,
absolutely.
Brian.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye-bye. Next coach to join us is Coach Dan Muller of Illinois State. We'll hold for just a second till we get Dan on the line. The Redbirds have won 5 of 6 games after losing to Evansville, their opponent, on Thursday on January 15th at home. They've won 5 of 6 with the only loss, an overtime loss at Missouri State. Among that 5 of 6 included a win over a ranked team, Wichita State, on Saturday. Illinois State now 1-2 against top 25 teams this year, having lost to both Maryland and Kentucky in a 8-day span this fall. And this time we are joined by the head coach of Illinois State, Dan Muller. Good morning, Dan.
Hey, Mike. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Big game at Evansville this coming Thursday. Since you played then, you won 5 of 6, dropping only the game at Missouri State in overtime. But talk about the Aces in the second go-around at Marty's Club.
Yeah, another great challenge for us on Thursday. We know how difficult it will be. They got us the first time. Clearly 2 of the best players in our league and really good at home, well coached. Everybody knows how they play, what they do. But we've got to go in there and play a little more intensity and play the first game. We got to make some shots, but we know it's a great opportunity.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Dan Muller.
Again, stars in the number 1. Our first question is from Dave Reynolds with the Peoria Journal-Star.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dave.
What have been the factors that have fueled your success of late?
Well, up until Saturday, I'd say our offensive efficiency has really improved. Now you shoot 27%. I don't know if you can say that in another game, but we've found ways to different ways to win at times. As you can see, our rebounding has been really consistent. All 5-6 games, and mostly in conference, but we were plus 11 on the boards the other night. Our ball care has been good most games. But again, we've been playing well offensively. Got to the foul line a lot in the last game. But other than last game, our offensive efficiency has been terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Harry Schroeder with the Valley Hoops Insider.
And Dan, you guys have had long streaks, like 4 or 5 wins in a row, then you'll lose 3, then you win 3. Just talk about the fragile nature of keeping players like mine, or maybe in that mindset, so you can, where losses don't, maybe roll up on you, and you can continue to build on success.
Yeah, I think that your consistent mindset is the most important thing of any season, of any sport, and we had a win 3, lose 3, win 3 to start the conference, and then we had 1 loss and came back, of course, with a couple big wins. But it's hard, 18 to 22-year-olds, they got a lot going on in life. There's a lot of pressures. Handling success is just as difficult as handling adversity. And to try to get them to focus on the task at hand at all times it's hard. It's probably the thing that most coaches spend the most time thinking about.
And then tell me a little bit about Nick Danyard. It seems like some games he seems like a guy that's ready to just break loose, and then there's other games. I wouldn't say he disappears, but at least statistically he's a factor. Just talk about him.
Yeah, Nick gives us great play because of his athleticism. He can guard multiple positions. He's a really good rebounder when he's focused. Sometimes he worries a little bit too much about making and missing shots. And in those games, those are the games you're talking about, to where his play is not quite as good. And I think he's starting to realize he can be a very good player and help us a lot, even if he's not making shots. And then the shots will start going in even more. But his play the last 2 games, we probably don't win either game without his play.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Good luck.
Thanks, Harry.
Our next question is from Jim Benson with the Bloomington Pentagraph.
And obviously, the goal of every team is to win the conference title. Wichita looks like they're going to win that. But to finish second for your group this year, what would that mean?
Oh, I don't know if you look at, finishing second and kind of what that would mean, other than it would mean we're playing really good basketball down the stretch. Everybody's fighting for first, and as you said, Wichita's got a big enough lead right now. Odds are that's going to stay that way. But if I just know this, if we finish second, it means that we've continued to play really good basketball, because there are teams that we're tied with and right behind us that if we start tripping again, then we won't be finishing second. So we just got to keep getting better, Jim. It really is. We haven't said, hey, let's try to win. Let's try to get second. We just want to keep winning, keep playing the right way.
And you had talked earlier about maybe the earlier games against some of the teams in your schedule might help you out in a game like Wichita. Did you think that happened maybe a little bit on Saturday?
I do think it happened. I do. Now, none of that happens if we're not playing good basketball, recently. None of that happens if we didn't fix a lot of the reasons why we didn't have success early. But knowing that we've played against very good competition, knowing that we've had, whether it's big deficits or even big leads, and it's a game of runs, and you just got to keep playing the game. I think that helped the other night and in other games. I think that game, the game Saturday, will help us moving forward because we know how good Wichita State is and how much we respect them as far as what type of team they are.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jim.
Dan, that was your last question. Thanks for joining us today, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
And we do have Coach Greg Marshall of Wichita State on the line. Shockers will open the week at Drake tomorrow night, back at home to play Northern Iowa on Saturday. And this time we'd like to welcome Coach Marshall to the phone. Good morning, Greg.
Hey, Mike.
It's been a long time since you played Drake. You opened up the conference schedule with them at your place, but thoughts on the second go-around against the Bulldogs tomorrow night?
Well, they always play better at home. Most teams do. We've had some close games there in the last couple of years. Even the 16-2 team we had in 12 lost in triple overtime there. So we expect them to give us a really good game, and hopefully we can go and play well.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Greg Marshall.
Press star then the number 1. Again, that's star then the number 1.
Coach, we're not going to keep you. There are no questions in the queue for you today. Light week. Good luck tomorrow night at Drake, and we'll catch you on Saturday.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. This does wrap up our call. We'll ask the beat writers to stay on the line and do a quick roundtable of beat writers, and everyone else can please disconnect at this time.